Welcome to our daily reflection for this Friday, June 7th, which is the Solemnity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. I love this great feast day and how fitting it comes on this Friday following the Feast of Corpus Christi, where Jesus gives us his body and blood. And here we have the great gospel reading. All the readings are in beautiful harmony, and it gives us this great mystery of the inner sanctum of the Holy of Holies, and that is Jesus' body. As he says at the beginning of the Gospel of John, destroy this temple and in 3 days I will raise it up. And he was speaking about the body of his temple, that Jesus' body is the true temple. And we know in the great scenes of the temple, and of course there's the inner sanctuary of the temple, the Holy of Holies. And Ezekiel has a vision of the new temple, and that out of the sanctuary, out of the threshold of the sanctuary, a stream will flow out. Well, that's fulfilled in the Gospel of John 19 today, where we see where the soldier takes the lance to see and make sure that Jesus is dead on the cross, and he thrusts the lance up into the side of Jesus, up through his lung and into his sacred heart. And what flows out? Water from his lungs filling up with his body fluid, and blood from his sacred heart. And this is the new stream that Ezekiel foretold would wash and cleanse and bring life to the world. And that's what we see today, is this great mystery of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Out of his sacred heart flows the blood and the water that cleanses through baptism and purifies and sanctifies and unites us through communion of his blood in the Eucharist. And so we have this great mystery today that the church hones in on in a beautiful way. And of course, we have the first reading from the prophet Hosea, where God discloses the great depth of love in his heart for Israel, for us. And so, it talks about how he loved Israel as a child and these great bands of love, and how his heart is overwhelmed and stirred with pity and love for his people. And then we have Isaiah 12 for the psalm hymn for the day, and it's about drawing out of the springs, waters of salvation. And what we realize is the great spring and fountain of salvation is the fountain opened up from the side of Christ. If Jesus' body is the temple, his sacred heart is the inner sanctum. And that will be the font of salvation for us. And so read Isaiah 12 in light of that fountain being the sacred heart. And that's what the gospel in John 19 is to tell us to reread passages like Isaiah 12 or Hosea, or even the prophecies of Ezekiel 43 through 47 of the future temple. So Jesus' sacred heart is the true sanctum. And of course, then we have this great reflection that we can then read in light of that mystery from Paul's letter to the Ephesians, where he talks about the great mystery of Christ's love, by which he kneels and bows before the Father, and he discloses the glory of God, that we be rooted and grounded in this love of Christ. And he wants us to comprehend, to understand, to get our meditation in our mind around this great mystery of God's love, the love of Jesus Christ. And he wants us to know and comprehend what is the breadth, the length, the height, the depth, and to know the love of Christ, which surpasses all understanding and all knowledge. And so today, let's think about the Sacred Heart of Christ and how that heart is filled with love for you, regardless of your sin, regardless of your lack of response to God's love. He loves you intensely. Just as any parent knows when their love is not requited from a child, they still love their child deeply, more than words can express. And that's how much God loves you. So reflect on the mystery of God's love and his sacred heart and love him back. Because how can love be repaid? By nothing but by love itself. And so let's repay his love with love today. Love the Lord in his sacred heart. May the Lord bless and keep you.
This daily reflection is brought to you thanks to the generous support of the Mission Circle. Join the Mission Circle to help Catholics worldwide understand, live, and share their faith. Sign up at missioncircle.org today.